Minister James Cleverly.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I'm grateful for the debate brought forward by the Right Honourable Member for Barking, and I pay tribute to the work that she has done on these complex issues, both in her former role as Select Committee Chair and also in the Chair of All-Party Parliamentary Group for Anti-Corruption and Responsible Tax. As my honourable friend, Right Honourable friend, the Minister for South and Central Asia, the Noble Lord Ahmed, is in the other place, it's my pleasure to respond on behalf of the Government. This month, the UK celebrated 30 years of diplomatic relationships with Kazakhstan, our largest partner in Central Asia. Over the years, we have built a strong partnership in areas like oil and gas investment, education and financial services, as well as promoting human rights and democratic values. We've had real success in encouraging a more open business environment in Kazakhstan, including through the Astana International Financial Centre. Honourable members, a few there they are, will have witnessed the violent clashes which took place in January after initially peaceful protests in western Kazakhstan over increased fuel prices. The latest estimates, as the Right Honourable Lady has said, are that over 200 people died during those clashes. There were reports of organised attacks on property and law enforcement officers, and almost 10,000 people were detained. And I am sure that she will join me and others in roundly condemning the violence and indeed loss of life. My noble friend, the Lord Ahmed, has been engaged intensively on these issues, speaking to senior Kazakh contacts last month, including President Tokayev's special representative on the 14th of January. In each of these calls, the Minister has underlined the importance of Kazakhstan respecting its international human rights commitments. President Tokayev has called what happened an attempted coup, and we are urgently seeking further information about the very serious development. We welcome the President's decision to establish an investigative commission to ascertain what led to these unprecedented events and loss of life. And we support the Kazakh authorities' commitment that this will be an effective and transparent investigation, and have encouraged them to consider international and independent expertise. In his public remarks, the President himself was clear that the original peaceful protests were based on legitimate grievances about the socio-economic situation and that urgent economic reform is needed. And we support that message, and we seek opportunities with our international partners to support those reforms. President Tokayev has also been critical of an existing social system which has seen economic growth largely benefiting a small number of very rich people in society, as the Right Honourable Lady has highlighted. And we are well aware of reports on the alleged acquisition of assets by wealthy members of elite Kazakh society, including substantial property holdings here in the UK. And it is, of course, the role of law enforcement agencies to investigate any specific allegations of wrongdoing, as she has highlighted in her speech. As a leading financial services centre, the UK can unfortunately be the destination for proceeds of corruption, despite findings from the Financial Action Task Force that the UK has one of the strongest systems to combat money laundering and terrorist financing of over 60 countries assessed to date. Consequently, the Integrated Review of Security, Defence, Development and Foreign Policy committed to take stronger action to bear down on illicit finance, including by bolstering the National Economic Crime Centre and working with our closest allies, such as the United States, to maximise our collective impact against this common threat. The recent spending review has put new resources behind that commitment, £42 million for economic crime reform from now until 2025. This is in addition to the £63 million for Companies House reform and the introduction of the Economic Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Levy, which will raise around £100 million per year from the private sector to combat economic crime from 2023. These additional resources will significantly enhance our ability to tackle transnational corruption and illicit finance. Since 2006, Madam Deputy Speaker, the FCDO has funded the National Crime Agency's International Corruption Unit, a world-renowned law enforcement capability focused on investigating corruption from developing countries with UK links. Since funding started in 2006, International Corruption Unit investigations have resulted in the conviction of 30 people and companies for corruption offences. And they have frozen, confiscated or returned to developing countries over £1.1 billion worth of stolen assets. In addition, the UK leads and hosts the International Anti-Corruption Coordination Centre, which brings together specialist law enforcement officers from multiple agencies around the world to tackle allegations of grand corruption. The International Anti-Corruption Coordination Centre specifically enhances our ability to investigate complex, multi-jurisdictional corruption cases. Since its launch in 2017, it has provided support on 88 investigations. In 2019, the UK launched its economic crime plan that provides a joined-up public and private sector response to economic crime. The success of our public-private partnership is perfectly demonstrated by the work of the Joint Money Laundering Intelligence Task Force, a mechanism that enables law enforcement and the financial sector to work more closely together to detect, prevent and disrupt money laundering and economic crime. To date, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Joint Money Laundering Intelligence Task Force has helped over 600 law enforcement investigations. This has directly contributed to over 150 arrests and the seizure of over £34 million in illicit funds. And finally, in April last year, the UK launched the Global Anti-Corruption Sanctions regime, which the Right Honourable Lady mentioned in her remarks. This allows the government to impose asset freezes and travel bans on those involved in serious corruption around the world. And it sends a message that the UK will not tolerate those individuals or their ill-gotten gains in our country. The regime does not target countries, but instead targets those individuals or organisations who are responsible. We believe this is a strong personal deterrent, and it's been used so far to sanction 27 individuals in 10 different countries. Collectively, these investments significantly enhance our ability to bring corrupt actors to justice. They also send a clear message that we will use the full force of our capabilities to bear down on those who seek to use the UK as a destination for their illegitimate wealth. In closing, Madam Deputy Speaker, criminals, corrupt elites and individuals who threaten our security are not welcome in the UK.
He closes. I'm extremely grateful to him. He gave me a very, very general response. What I'd really like to know is, will he look? I named over 20 individuals, many of them members of the same family. Will he undertake to investigate the circumstances that I've briefly outlined, and will he undertake to me that, if I'm correct, that they will face sanctions under the new regime?
Madam Speaker, the Right Honourable Lady, I'm sure, will understand that it can sometimes be counterproductive to go into detail about what future sanctions designations the UK government might undertake, but I can absolutely assure her that my officials and indeed the House will have taken note of the individuals that she highlighted in her speech. In relation to Kazakhstan, or indeed any other country, our law enforcement agencies continue to monitor and, if necessary, investigate particular cases where circumstances require. We know that the impacts of corruption and illicit finance can have a devastating impact on states and citizens by undermining democracy, bankrolling authoritarian agendas and enabling serious and organised crime. The UK has shown on the world stage that it has both the means and the will to promote responsible financial behaviour. We have shown that we stand ready to take action domestically and internationally wherever necessary, and I'm sure that you will agree, Madam Deputy Speaker, we must now stand together to show corruption has no place in this country.
The question is that this House do now adjourn.